Meghan Markle's back in the news. Our favorite.
And you're able to show up in a space really organically and authentically.
Show up in a space organically and authentically. It's the Hoda lexicon.
Meghan Markle is at it again. She can't help herself.
Netflix is not only done with them, but Hollywood is done with them.
I think they've got to look to a new direction in terms of what their future may hold, because it ain't going to be in showbiz. They're not going to be making TV shows. They're not going to be making movies. Hollywood doesn't want to know.
So it sounds like that there's a lot of Hollywood elites who are obviously a very tight-knit group of people who do not want to let in Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in their circle.
So there is no return to Hollywood. Hollywood never wanted her before. They're certainly not going to want her now. She's definitely over the hill by Hollywood standards by, quite a large mile now.
Kinsey, tell me about these reports that major Hollywood power brokers are no longer answering Meghan Markle's phone calls.
She was trying to get the likes of Taylor Swift, A-listers like Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, other big Hollywood stars. They don't want to touch her. They don't want anything to do with her. So she's been rejected by the very people whose circle she wants to be mixing in.
Look, I have to speak to you about the royals. There are reports that Meghan Markle had been dropped by her Hollywood agency, WME, but an industry insider claimed that Meghan Markle was let go because she was too demanding and too difficult to work with, and she's not the first person who said that.
Additionally, when I talked to a publicist a few weeks ago, I asked if they would like to contribute. They were pitching me a celebrity client, and I said, well, hey, I'm doing this story on Harry and Meghan. Would they like to be involved? And that publicist said, we don't want to touch anything Harry and Meghan related. It's too negative. It's too dirty. I mean, this is a common theme happening here today. You are who you associate with, and Harry and Meghan are currently not winners, so people are avoiding them in Hollywood.
Uncle, make it end. Make it end. What is this?
Oh my God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
Losers, enjoy.
Imagine walking away from the most famous royal family on earth, the crowns, the palaces, the history books, and betting everything on Hollywood, only for Hollywood to look you up and down, smile politely, and then slowly close the door in your face. Not slam it, that would be dramatic. No, Hollywood did something colder. It smiled, nodded, and then quietly pretended it didn't know you. And that is where this story really begins. Because what we're about to walk through is not one awkward moment, not one bad review, not one unlucky break. This is a pattern, a long, uncomfortable, painfully consistent pattern of doors closing, phones not ringing, invitations not arriving, and people disappearing. And the first crack in the image, the very first public moment where the illusion slipped, came from someone who had absolutely no reason to lie. Rebel Wilson. She meets Harry and Meghan in Santa Barbara. She later goes on live television. And what does she say? Harry? Wonderful, charming, lovely. 10 out of 10. And Meghan, not naturally warm. 5 words that landed like a piano falling out of a window. Because this is a woman whose entire public brand is warmth, compassion, authenticity, candles, jam, kindness. And one casual meeting later, Rebel Wilson describes the experience like she just shook hands with the mannequin.
Wow, you were telling me during the break, you introduced your mom to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle?
Yeah, well, we were just talking royal family stuff in the break. And we went up to Santa Barbara, met Harry, could not have been nicer.
Had you known them before, I would assume?
No, we just had a mutual friend in common, a polo player. And then we went up, but then Meghan was not as cool.
Oh, really?
It wasn't as naturally warm.
And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Rebel even tried to defend her, tried to soften it, blamed her own mother for asking normal questions like, where are your kids? But think about that for a second. This is a woman who sat on Oprah and dismantled the British monarchy in front of millions without blinking. But one Australian mother asking about her children suddenly turned the warmth off like a light switch? That doesn't make sense. Unless the warmth isn't real. Unless the warmth is a performance. And the most brutal part? Rebel was telling this story to Andy Cohen. The same Andy Cohen Meghan had publicly said she was desperate to meet, desperate to work with, desperate to impress, and the one time she finally got his attention, he was sitting there listening to someone else describe her as cold, and he loved every second of it.
But maybe, I don't know, and then my mum being Australian just asked her all these slightly rude questions.
Oh,
and I was like,
what? What was she asking?
Where are your kids? and things like that. And I'm like, Ma, don't ask her that.
Well, then maybe that's why she was.
Maybe that's why she was a bit like, who are these annoying convicts from Australia?
But Harry was lovely.
Yeah, he was actually lovely.
Wow.
Yeah.
But if that was just one awkward celebrity encounter, maybe you could brush it off. Maybe you could say it meant nothing. Except then came the Suits reunion, the show that made her famous, the show that gave her everything: money, fame, connections, and ultimately a prince. That show becomes the most streamed show on Netflix. 45 billion minutes watched. So naturally, they plan a reunion at the Golden Globes. The cast shows up: Patrick Adams, Sarah Rafferty, Gina Torres. Everyone's there, except the most famous cast member of all is sitting at home, watching it on TV. And when a reporter asked Gina Torres, who invited Meghan, she looked straight into the camera and says something that sounded simple but felt like a nuclear bomb.
So our text thread is insane right now, so it's very exciting.
Who texted Meghan and said, you gotta come to the Golden Globes, Meghan Markle?
We don't have her number.
Yeah! That's a good one.
We just don't, so.
We don't have her number, not we lost touch, not we couldn't reach her. We don't have her number. Think about that. 7 seasons together, royal wedding invitation, years of working side by side, and somehow nobody has her number. Numbers don't just disappear. People delete them. And that was the moment Hollywood started saying the quiet part out loud without actually saying anything at all. Then came the Real Housewives situation. And this one is almost unbelievable because it sounds like a joke, but it isn't. Meghan had been publicly describing herself as a hardworking housewife, a devoted mother, a homemaker. So someone suggested maybe she should appear on The Real Housewives. Logical, right? Except when the cast was asked about it, their reaction wasn't excitement. It wasn't curiosity. It was horror. Actual horror. Like someone suggested bringing a wild animal to dinner. They said no immediately, publicly, no hesitation. And then, just to twist the knife, when asked what celebrity they would want instead, they said Jennifer Aniston, Victoria Beckham, and then someone suggested Kate. Not Meghan, Kate. Imagine being rejected from a show famous for table flipping and wine throwing because they think you would be too much drama, and then came the moment that wasn't just Hollywood. This one went global. The most disliked celebrity list. And this is where the story stops being funny and starts being shocking, because this list included people with lawsuits, criminal investigations, career-ending scandals, people whose reputations are so bad they come with legal disclaimers. And sitting at number 1 above all of them was Meghan Markle. Not second, not third, number 1, above Diddy. A man dealing with federal level scandals. Somehow the world looked at all of that and still said no, she's more exhausting. That doesn't happen by accident. That takes years. Years of bad press, bad relationships, bad impressions, and burned bridges across multiple industries and multiple countries. And by this point, Hollywood wasn't just ignoring her, Hollywood was starting to avoid her. Quietly, politely, but very clearly, because the next rejection might be the most polite rejection in entertainment history. Dolly Parton, the nicest woman alive. A woman who says yes to everyone. Charities, interviews, collaborations, appearances. Dolly helps everyone. Except this time, she didn't. Meghan's cooking show was struggling, so the plan was simple. Bring in Dolly Parton to save it. And Dolly looked at that invitation and declined. Immediately. No meeting, no maybe, just no. And what makes this unbelievable is what happened next. Reports said Meghan blamed the royal family for Dolly refusing. Think about that level of denial. The royal family is in Buckingham Palace, apparently controlling guest appearances on a cooking show in California. And that right there is where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Because at first, it looked like bad luck. Then it looked like bad PR. Then it started looking like something else entirely. A reputation that arrives before she does. A reputation that sits down in meetings before she even walks into the room. And once a reputation like that exists in Hollywood, the doors don't just close. They lock, and they stay locked. Because after the doors started locking, the industry didn't just step back. It started stepping away. Quietly at first, then publicly, then all at once. And the next sign that things were not just bad, but catastrophic came when the most powerful talent agency in Hollywood, Me, decided they were done. This is not a small agency. This is not some struggling management company on Sunset Boulevard. This is the agency that represents the biggest names in entertainment entertainment, the people who actually run Hollywood without ever appearing on camera. And when they signed Meghan, it was supposed to be the beginning of her Hollywood domination era. Power moves, big deals, major productions. That was the plan. But then February 2025 arrived, and suddenly the headlines started appearing. Quietly at first. Then everywhere. WME had dropped her. Dropped, not mutually parted ways, not taking a break, dropped. And insiders started whispering the same words that had been following her from room to room for years. Difficult, demanding, exhausting. And then came the part that hurt the most. It wasn't just personality, it was numbers. The projects weren't performing, the deals weren't delivering. And Hollywood is not emotional. Hollywood is math. If the numbers work, they keep you. If the numbers don't work, you're gone. It's that simple. And according to the people who do the math for a living, Meghan Markle had officially become more trouble than profit. And right when that story was still echoing through Hollywood, something else happened that was so quiet, so subtle, but so loud at the same time. Her 42nd birthday. Now, for most people, a birthday is a cake, maybe dinner, maybe a few messages, but for Meghan, birthdays are PR events, headlines, articles, public messages, especially from the royal family. Except this time, nothing. No message from King Charles. No message from William. No message from anyone. Not even a polite social media post. Absolute silence. The kind of silence that is louder than any insult. Because silence means final. Silence means finished. Silence means there is no relationship left to perform for the public anymore. She had expected a message, some acknowledgement, some sign that she was still connected to that world. But the day came and went like it was just another Tuesday. And that silence told a story louder than any interview ever could. And while that was happening, Netflix and Spotify were making decisions of their own. Now remember, these were not small deals. These were massive headline-making, world-shocking deals worth tens of millions of dollars. These deals were supposed to change everything. Documentaries, podcasts, shows, content that would redefine media. That was the promise. But then Spotify ended the deal after just one season of her podcast. One season. And one of their top executives went on a podcast and called them lazy grifters publicly. That is not normal in business. Executives don't talk like that unless something went very wrong behind the scenes. And Netflix at least waited until the show ended. And then they walked away too. No renewal, no new season, no new projects. Two of the biggest platforms in the world both made the same decision. And when $2 billion companies make the same decision about you at the same time, that's not bad luck. That's a verdict. And then came the Emmy situation. The Netflix documentary got huge viewing numbers, and Meghan reportedly believed it would be nominated for an Emmy. She expected it, waited for it, thought it was coming, it didn't come. No nomination, nothing. Completely ignored. And then, and this is almost unbelievable, reports said she applied to be an Emmy judge, to judge other people's shows, after her own show didn't get nominated. That's like failing a test and then asking to grade the class. And finally, the Kardashian incident. Kris Jenner's 70th birthday. Huge party. Celebrities everywhere. Harry and Meghan attend. Photos get posted online. Harry, Meghan, Kim, Kris, all smiling. And then suddenly, the photos disappear. Deleted. The internet goes crazy trying to figure out why, and later it comes out that Harry and Meghan had asked the Kardashians to delete the photos because it was Remembrance Day, a day meant to honor fallen soldiers, and Harry, a military veteran, was seen partying at a celebrity birthday party. So instead of addressing it publicly, they called the Kardashians and asked them to erase the photos. And just like that, the Kardashians, the royal family once considered beneath them, were the ones cleaning up Harry's image. And when you put all of this together, all 13 moments, all 13 doors closing, all 13 rejections, you start to see the bigger picture. This wasn't one bad year. This wasn't one bad project. This was a slow, public, global rejection happening in real time. Hollywood said no. Spotify said no. Netflix said no. Fashion said no. Television said no. Even former coworkers said no. And maybe the most brutal part of the whole story is this. Every single time she walked into the room expecting a yes, expecting applause, expecting acceptance. And every single time the answer was silence, rejection, or a polite smile followed by a closed door. And the tragedy in all of this isn't just the rejection. It's that she left a place where she had a role, a title, a system, a structure for a world where the only thing that matters is whether people want to work with you. And Hollywood made its decision. And it made that decision 13 different times.